Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Tommo and welcome to my pre-race Chinwag for the 2024 Canadian Grand Prix. Roll intro. If you've come over from Twitter, I did say Monaco on the little prompt, and it's not Monaco. Fortunately, I mean, it was a bit of a dead race. A bit of a dead race is actually putting it very, very kindly, isn't it? Hopefully we get something a little bit more exciting this weekend in Canada. Thank you all for joining me. Zach, Liam, Sweet Caroline, Surinder, Dorian, Jew, SF, Zach, Kalen, Awkward, Hagen, Liam, everyone early. I'm early. It's 58 minutes past and I'm live. Well, look, I like to think that I've built in a deficit over the years of being late to these live streams. Okay, so now we're paying it back. Okay, I'm going live 3 minutes early. All right, if you're not here on time, then it's your own. Thank you all for joining wherever you are in the world. If you're listening audio only, I do upload these onto Spotify, Apple Podcasts after I'm done with a little jingle on the front, just for your cute little ears, as I put it, for your little lugs. But if you are here live, watching on YouTube, welcome. If you're here after the fact on YouTube as well, welcome. There's a poll in the live chat. I want you, if you are here live, to get on that poll because it is to do with a certain Checo-related subject that we'll get onto towards the end of this live stream. Some breaking news yesterday that I didn't think kind of fully justified a video, but also I knew I'd be doing this live stream today. So we get an opportunity to talk about it now. Okay? Play the jingle. Yeah, it's a great jingle, Nathan. It's a great jingle. But you'll have to listen to the audio-only version to get that jingle. Anyway. Canada. Oh, Canada, my home and native land. I'm, of course, an Englishman, so Canada is not my home and native land, but I would actually say, of all the Grand Prix I've been to, I've been fortunate enough to go to a good amount now, and Canada is the one that I would recommend probably the most, especially to someone maybe who's not been to a Grand Prix before and wants to get the experience, a really good experience. Obviously, Weather was great when I went in 2022. It's not looking so good this weekend, which could be exciting for the racing. But I think if you've not been to, especially if you've not been to a race before and you want it to be, Silverstone's in the middle of nowhere, Spielberg's in the middle of nowhere. Like, if you want somewhere that's easy to get to from a really cool city, I think Montreal is a really nice place. Really enjoyed it there. Wish I had a bit longer there. And I think it's a great Grand Prix to go to. It's a beautiful lake. Like, the location's unreal. It's a really cool track as well. One of my favourites. Up there for me. If you can go to a Grand Prix, I couldn't recommend Canada, Circuit Jules Villeneuve, Montreal more highly. What would I recommend the least? Oh, Kevin, that's actually an interesting question. The ones I've been to, obviously, Silverstone's got my immediate reaction would be Miami. However, and I went in 2022, the first year of Miami. That was 22, wasn't it? I think. Yeah, because we've had three. We've had 22, 23 and 24, yeah. But apparently, from a lot of people I've spoken to, like more than at least there's three separate people who have all told me how good Miami is to go to now. So I think they have improved the spectacle. It's a good question, actually, Kevin. Good question. But I think, so based on my 22 experience, I was like, yeah, like it's cool, it's Miami, but it felt very artificial. It felt very fake. It didn't have a lot of soul to it. But apparently it's a lot better now. I don't know. Remains to be seen. And they actually gave us a pretty all right this race this year, didn't it, Miami, by standards. But yes, round 9, Canadian Grand Prix, 3 a.m. average session time in Australia, Zander. Well, the thing is, you Australians, I'm always seeing you Australians in the live chat at some ungodly hour, for you anyway, right? So I don't think that's a problem. You're used to it, right? You're conditioned. If you want to watch... If you want to watch Formula One in Australia, you've got to be conditioned to getting up at godforsaken hours. We're not used to it here in Europe. We're privileged. We are very privileged. But yeah, oh, it's always ungodly. It's how we do it. Well, Canadian Grand Prix this weekend in Europe anyway isn't too bad time zone wise, and of course, yes, one of how many Grand Prix have we got now in? There's 3 in the US, Canada, Mexico City, so we've got 5 in North America, which I think it's an appropriate number. But I want to see more. I want to see more in South Asia. I want to see an African Grand Prix. Kyle Army, come on, make it happen. Okay. Come on, New Zealand is worse. Yeah, but New Zealand's beautiful, Vance. So you got a beautiful country. All right, you got to get up early but it's New Zealand. Come on, it's gorgeous. I love it. Anyway, right. Last time out, Canadian Grand Prix. Woo, interesting one, wasn't it? Very interesting Grand Prix. This was when Fernando and Aston Martin were still cooking at this stage. They were still very much gas mark cook, but things gradually started to unravel, should I say. Not too soon after this, wasn't it? The Aston Martin dream was coming to an end. So the thing I remember most about this race actually was a certain Mr. Russell sticking it in the wall, hit the sausage curb. Don't know the corner names, don't ask me. And put it in the wall. Somehow managed to carry on, which is crazy. Somehow managed to carry on. And had to retire a few laps from the end. But yeah, that was pretty mad. You're only 7 to 9 hours ahead of you down here. And that's, to be fair, yeah, the time difference is a point. I do remember as well this race, you had a Bottas in the Sauber, Alfa Romeo, and Lando in a McLaren scrapping, which is hilarious because right now, McLaren is arguably, and certainly around certain specific kinds of tracks, the quickest car right now, and the Sauber is the slowest car right now. It's crazy how quickly things have been able to change. Obviously, the Albon P7. I wasn't going to mention that because, boys. It was a great drive from Alex. It was a very good drive from Alex. And actually, Williams have got some upgrades this weekend. My understanding, anyway, that should hopefully somewhat address the weight issue in that car. So, we'll see. Maybe they will cook. And I hope Logan gets the upgrade as well. Because to be honest, like it's not like Williams are giving him the full equipment at all times to actually deliver on this potential that I always talk about him having. But then again, if they're genuinely considering Carlos Sainz for that seat, and if they broker a deal with Carlos, there's nothing Logan can do to keep that seat. There's literally like nothing. But yeah, rain all weekend this time out, so should be interesting. Should somewhat I mean, the thing is, the field spread is so close, and now we've got this Ferrari and McLaren Red Bull battle at the front as well. Rain being the great equaliser. But I guess, you wonder, Red Bull in the rain, they typically don't get their tyres up to temperature as quickly, hence why they haven't dominated, or Max hasn't dominated in qualifying like he has been able to in the races. Will that be an issue? McLaren's typically switch their tyres on a bit quicker. Maybe in the rain that could pay dividends. It's looking at the forecast is rain from like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Like it's literally just a washout weekend. So to what extent this could be a really interesting race that could definitely throw up some surprises. So I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for many. I love Canada. I love the Grand Prix. The fans are great. It's a vibe there. Great track. Love it. There you go, Mecto. There's your shout out. Up the Mecto. There you go. That sounds weird. Anyway, moving on. Driver standings. Let's reflect. Oh yeah, and Max won last time as well, by the way. Shock. But will he do the same this weekend? We'll see. Right. Driver standings. So yes, 31 points between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. I think we can call it. I think we can call it a title battle. I mean, look, around Canada, Max has been downplaying the chances. Obviously, there's a bit of hope with this resurfacing around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve as well. But anything with curbs, it's exploiting the fact that everyone's caught up is exploiting a problem that Red Bull have had for a long time. But it wasn't a massive issue because we're so far ahead anyway. We don't need to ride the curbs and we can still win with Max anyway. And we saw this obviously in Singapore last year. It was a bit of a kind of a preview, I guess, as to what would come about this year, which is the Red Bull struggling on the street circuit with these bumpy curbs. I mean, imagine the RB20 around Detroit. If you watch that IndyCar race, that was chaos. I don't always catch the IndyCar, but I caught that race. I caught the second 2/3 of it. It was very good. It was a very good IndyCar race. So I very much enjoyed it. Even though it was a bit, you could say farcical somewhat, maybe, at times. Oh, remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. I'm not from Montreal. I know I'm not from Montreal, but I've been to Montreal and I like Montreal. It's a cool place. Anyway, 31 points between Verstappen and Leclerc. Norris a further 25 behind Charles. Do we have a title fight? I think there's something cooking here. I think there's something going on. Okay, there's a degree of convergence. It's really, in Catalonia, right? Catalonia is a track that should absolutely play to the strengths of that RB20, and you would expect Max to win. What will be interesting to see in Catalonia is how much Max wins by. If it's 30 plus seconds, then it's like, all right, he's going to convincingly win a good chunk of the, you've got Spa coming up, you've got various tracks that do play to the strengths. Obviously, we've already had Suzuka. That's a clear and obvious one, but driver standings wise, there could be something on here. There could be something on. The momentum certainly seems to be with Ferrari and McLaren in terms of closing that gap to the front and giving Max something to think about. You cannot tell me. I know Max, he had that interview, didn't he, when he was like, I'll happily win by 20, 30 seconds every weekend. I've been battling for long enough in my career. I'm quite happy to win. You cannot tell me that winning in Imola by 0.7 of a second, you could see from his reaction, he was more gassed to have it almost, when it's a challenge, when it's and we're talking relative challenge, of course. Max is exceptional and he makes it look easy because of how good he is. But now there's this convergence, and the talent of Charles and the talent of Lando and the talent of the rest is becoming more kind of glaringly clear that, okay, it's not just a Max formula. Like, there are other very talented drivers on the grid who can hang with him if they've got the equipment to do so. When Max takes those dubs, they're gonna feel more. Of course, they're gonna feel more. Come on, 100%. Yeah, exactly. He properly celebrated in Imola. He loved it. He loved that one. It wasn't a boring, dull weekend. And I guess maybe him finishing P6 in Monaco and trundling along gave him a bit of an insight as to how he has made the sport feel because of his absolute dominance in recent years. But yeah, there we go. And also, reminder, if you just turned up, go and fill out the poll, because we're going to talk about the subject matter at the end. Okay, so I want you lot to get your responses in regarding a certain driver extending their contract. Very very interesting on this one. Canada's curbs are extreme. No one can use them effectively. The on-throttle time will advantage Red Bull. I think McLaren may do well based on their season-to-date performance. Scott, yeah, I mean, look, I think Canada doesn't feel like a street circuit when you're there, because it is. I mean, it's around a park. It's not really like public roads as such. It is kind of around a park. Nice little lake, very cute. When it's a nice day, which it doesn't look like it's going to be this weekend, it's all very, very vibey. You got the Wall of Champions as well. There's a lot of risk reward at Canada, and it does bite. It bites like a street track. That's the thing. So I'm looking forward to it this weekend. Otherwise, in terms of Drivers' Championship, interesting. Will Sauber get off the mark this weekend? No. Will Sargent get off the mark this weekend? Maybe if he gets the upgrade, but I don't know if Williams are just bringing it to one car. So my understanding is it's a lighter chassis. I could be wrong on that. So please correct me in chat if I'm wrong. But I believe Williams are bringing it's a weight reduction package that I believe they're bringing to the table this weekend. Champion of Walls isn't here anymore. Sad face. Verstappen DNF McLaren 1-2. I don't know about that. I think in the rain this is looking pretty good for Max. But yeah, they're the driver standings as they stand. Team standings, constructors, that's where it is looking a much more risky for Red Bull. And obviously, again, the news yesterday about Checo extending with the team certainly plays into this this conversation, this whole constructors conversation, because we know Max can do it on his own. We know Max can win a drivers' championship. We know, I believe he's the best driver in F1, and he's in a car that typically is the strongest car on any given weekend. Of course, it has its tracks where it doesn't quite excel. We're seeing that now, but as an overall, it's still a Max Verstappen championship. Not a dominant one necessarily, but I think it's still a Max Verstappen championship. However, constructors-wise, Checo has not been able to get those consistent podiums. That's not, like, over the course of his Red Bull career, consistent podiums has not been a thing. Actually, no. In how many? I might actually count this out now. How many podiums has Checo got during his time at Red Bull? You know what? I'm actually going to count it out now. Let me know in the chat how many you think. 4. Come on, behave, Gruggers. In his entire Red Bull career, how many times has Checo got on le podium? Let's have a look. So he joined the team. There we go. Right. Sweet. So we've got... So in 2021, he got win in Azerbaijan, France P3, Turkey, USA, Mexico, all P3s. So he got 5 in his first season. Then he got Australia, Emilia-Romagna, Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan, Britain, Belgium, Singapore win, Japan, Mexico, Abu Dhabi. So that's 16 in his first 2 seasons. So he got 11 in his 22. And then 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. 29 podiums he's got. Checo. 29 podiums. There you go. I just counted it, but I might have maybe missed one, but I think it's 29. So his podium percentage rate, what? That's in, how many races is that? So that's 22 plus 22, so 66 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 74 races. Is that right? Yeah, because there's 22 rounds. Oh, well, hang on. There's... What race was does that include Emilia-Romagna? I don't know. You get the gist of it. It's about a 1/3. About 1/3, I'd say. Which is not great in that car. Let's be real. But time will tell. Will Red Bull be able to hang on for the constructors this season? And will they, in subsequent seasons, also be able to hang on and win? Even if Max is doing the bits in the Drivers' Championship up front. Remains to be seen. McLaren is still a bit of a gap, McLaren to Ferrari. That's 68 points behind. McLaren are behind Ferrari, but they're well clear of Mercedes. The Mercedes seem to find something with that front wing. So, yeah, look. I said at the start of the season, I don't see Mercedes winning any race. Do I still see them not winning any race? Probably. I probably don't see them winning a race this season. Oh, yeah. Chat, thank you for sending me. There's some breaking news that we'll jump onto. Let me just get the old screen share up. And then window capture. And then Bosch. Jack Doohan will be in the Alpine. Probably Ocon's, let's be honest. In FP1. So he's not replacing Ocon this weekend necessarily, but he will be in the Alpine. Interesting. Contended to replace Esteban Ocon, was one of the team's racing drivers in 25, will take over Ocon's car in the first Canadian Grand Prix practice on Friday. Can't say I'm surprised. I mean, it makes sense, right? You would think that knowing Ocon is on the way out, I mean, I'm not being funny. Ollie Behrman is doing like 6 FP1s for Haas this year. So surely it makes sense for Alpine to just chuck Doohan in the car at every possible opportunity until the end of the season, right? It's a soft launch. Could be. Could well be. SF could well be. We'll see. Look, Jack Doohan, I think, is a great prospect. I actually did a video all about Jack Doohan last week. So he was, say, from the, what was it? Was it the last 8 weekends? So if you only count the last 8 weekends, I know this is, I'm somewhat picking at stats here, but it just demonstrates how good his run-in was last year in F2. If you ignore the first 5 race weekends and just look at the last 8, he scored 140 points. Pourchaire scored like 113, I think, and Vesti scored like 108. So his end of season, his last 2/3 of the season, he outscored everyone. But it's just he had a really difficult start to the year. And, is what it is. Is what it is. For me, Victor Martin is better. Yeah, well, I think Doohan's showing... I mean, Victor's having a really difficult F2 season this year. But then the thing is, like, Ollie's having a difficult F2 season. Kimi's not hit the ground and absolutely smashing it. I think F2's changed a bit, isn't it? It's kind of more of a... It's being used as a program to develop these young drivers for these teams rather than being seen as this standalone series. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting. We'll see. Time will tell. But yes, Jack Doohan, again, to anyone who's just turned up, Jack Doohan will be in the car for FP1 this weekend. No surprises there. Okay, so predictions. This weekend's Canadian Grand Prix. Let's talk about it. Race win. Ooh, interesting. So, it's looking like it's going to rain, which makes me think that realistically, these gaps and this Red Bull struggle around Canada with the curbs, blah, 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 isn't going to hit them too bad. I think Max still takes the dub this weekend. I still think Max takes the dub. Lawson better than Doohan. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Lawson's come in and actually proven that he can do bits. That's the thing. Doohan has not proven that. But then, Doohan did outscore Lawson in F2 by a fair chunk last year. So, yeah. Difficult. I think there's fine margins, fine margin in F2. But yes, my race winner is Max Verstappen. Okay, banger drive. Who's going to bring the heat? Not necessarily win this weekend, but who's going to bring the heat? I've gone with my boy, Alex Albon. Okay, I think Williams, they're bringing something this weekend. They're bringing something, and I'm choosing to have faith. And I think Alex, well, even if only one car gets it, we know Sargent's not getting it over Albon, right? Of course. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about Alex this weekend. He excelled in Canada last year. I think he's going to do a very good job with an upgraded Williams this weekend. Watch this space, right? I was right about the Charles Leclerc win, wasn't I? And we're going to be right about this one or not. Clanger drive. Who's going to struggle? I went with Ocon. And I went with Ocon before they announced Jack Doohan was doing FP1, which is only going to give Ocon less time. Yeah, given the news cycle at the moment, Ocon needs some good races because there's no clear and obvious opportunity for him to get back in, because every seat he's connected to, there's other drivers who you could make more compelling arguments about. Time will tell. But I'm going to give Ocon a clanger. Banger team. I'm going to go with Williams. I'm backing that upgrade. I think Alex is going to extract it. I think they'll get good points this weekend. I'm feeling good about Williams. Up the vows. Get Pat Fry. Well, already got Pat Fry and get Carlos Sainz in alongside Alex Albon. Get Adrian Newey. Williams 2028 World Champions. Lock it in. All right? Clip it and play it back to me in 4 years' time. Double points. Look, I'd love to see that, Scott. I'd love to see double points for Williams, but Logan just can't string a weekend together. That's his issue. And then Clanger team, unsurprisingly, as per usual, it's Sauber, because they stink. so bad. No pace. Gone backwards. No wonder Carlos Sainz is genuinely considering Williams as an alternative to... You'd think works Audi, of course. But they can only deliver the team if they can only deliver the engine, sorry. If the race team and the engineering department at Himwell cannot aerodynamically create a good car, then having a good engine, pointless. Pointless. I mean, there's, I remember, what was it? I was watching a pod, I think it was a race podcast, and they were talking about Williams back in like 2018, 17, when they weren't terrible, but it's like, is that just because they had the OP Mercedes engine and that was actually masking a lot of their aerodynamic struggles? Probably. But it goes both ways, It goes both ways. Tommo Lawson. Oh, yeah. You're right. Lawson did. Wait, no, because Doohan finished P3 last year, didn't he? Oh, yeah, but Lawson didn't do. Sorry, I'm getting the seasons mixed up. Lawson was P3 in 2022. You're right. And Doohan was P3 in 2023. But then Liam did Super Formula last year, didn't he? No. You're right. You're right, Vance. You're right. Lawson did outscore Doohan in F2. I got my seasons mixed up. Anyway, moving on to your predictions, the ones that really count. Okay, 1,598 if you voted. I did not put this one on Twitter this time because people on Twitter mess with these polls, but I put it out nice and early on the Monday. So thank you for getting your vote in. If you didn't see the poll, then you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Okay, community post on a Monday. Bosh poll. Give me your thoughts, all right? Give me your thoughts and feelings. Race winner with 42% of the vote is Max Verstappen. You lot think as well it's going to be back to Max winning, and I think the rain is going to help his cause. I think the expected rain is going to assist Max Verstappen in his journey to P1 because he's exceptional in the rain. His car control is unbelievable. Even if the Red Bull's struggling a bit on the curbs, no one's going to be touching the curbs in the wet. I think Max is going to do it. I agree with 42% of you. 18% of you have gone Charles Leclerc. 18% have also gone Lando Norris, but a few more votes for Charles means he nips him in for P2. And Oscar Piastri, 15% of the vote. Loving that. I think Oscar's is getting closer and closer, I don't think we're going to have to wait too long for Oscar to be the next new race winner in Formula 1. Sooner rather than later, SF, I agree. Banger drive. Who's going to deliver the heat this weekend? Who's bringing some serious... Well, your banger drive for this weekend's Canadian Grand Prix is Oscar Piastri. 21% of the vote. You lot believe he's going to do it. Not necessarily win, but deliver something. Podium, probably. Seems to be where your votes are alluding. He seems to have somewhat sorted out this kind of tyre management thing. Obviously, Oscar in the wet. He's not had many F1 races in the wet, has he, Oscar? I'm trying to think how many, since he joined F1, start of last season, not had a huge amount of wet races. But enough to at least, get settled somewhat. Oscar 21%. Don't disagree. I think you'll have a good weekend. No question. 12% Lando Norris. 9% Lewis Hamilton. 9% Yuki Tsunoda. Up the Yuki. Love it. Right. Clanger drive. It's Checo. 21% of the vote once again. Missed a contract, but you lot aren't believing. 13% Esteban Ocon. 13% Lance Stroll, 8% Daniel Ricciardo. It's always these four that you put in your clanger. It's literally the only change I had to make in the graphic was instead of Stroll being the winner, I had to put Perez there, and I just swapped the two because Perez was your third clanger last weekend, and he did have a clanger, and Stroll was the winner, and actually Stroll had an alright race in Monaco. I think, didn't he? I feel like he did. Anyway, whatever. 21% Perez, 13% Ocon, 13% Stroll, 8% Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo. Yeah, Sargent doesn't seem to make the clangers as much as these four. It almost seems to be these four. Lucas always puts Sargent no matter what. No matter what. Okay. Banger team. This weekend, you lot have gone McLaren. 44% of the vote. Big vote for McLaren. Big confidence this weekend. Norris and Piastri. I think you lot are back in a double McLaren podium. Maybe more. Don't write off the Ferraris though. 25% of you did go for Ferrari. Banger team. 7% Red Bull. 6% Mercedes. Both cars will have the new front wing. George was within like a couple of thousandths or something of Lando in Monaco qualifying. They seem to be finding something. They're slightly lagging behind Mercedes, but they seem to be finding something at last. But too little too late, probably. Stroll lost his wheel. Oh yeah, of course, Stroll hit the wall, didn't he? I did actually forget about Stroll hitting the wall in Monaco, which is obviously on him. It's the kind of incident that Stroll Monaco one. It's like when you go karting and the rear of the car is slightly wider than the front, so you kind of turn in, you think you've like nailed it, you've like grazed the wall, and then the back wheel just goes bonk. Unfortunately, it wasn't in a kart because a kart would have just bounced off and just carried on fine, but it ripped the rear left to smithereens, didn't it? And then finally, Clanger team, you lot have gone for Sauber. Shock. Copied my homework. Yeah, look, Sauber, their pace stinks at the minute. Canada's one of those Grand Prix where it's not the easiest to overtake, and qualifying does seem to carry a lot of weight. Sauber need the heavens to open, I think, to have any chance, and hope that, you know, Bottas can put on a Finnish car control master show, you know? I think that's the best thing that they can hope for right now. But yeah, Sauber 25% of the vote. 23 Aston Martin, obviously still getting on top of these. Don't even want to call them upgrades. They're just side grades, you know? They're not up, they're not down, they're just 19% Alpine, 9% Mercedes. Not that much between Sauber and Aston Martin, to be fair. A lot of unbelief for both teams. So those are your predictions for the 2024 Canadian Grand Prix. Those are yours. And these are mine. So Max, Alex, Esteban, William, Sauber for me. Max, Oscar, Checo, McLaren, Sauber for you. Who will come out on top? We will find out on Monday when we do the post-race Chinwag, okay? If you don't know, get to know. Excellent. Okay. Final topic. No, not necessarily final topic of the night. Final main topic of this live podcast stream. Don't forget to like, by the way, if you're here on YouTube. Like. Do it. I think I'm pointing to the right part of the screen. Maybe I'm not. Anyway. Checo extends. Let's talk about it, shall we? Let's talk about Sergio Perez. 2-year deal to extend. So he will race for Red Bull through 2025 and the first season of the new regulations, 2026. Locked in, 2 years. Obviously, contracts can be bought out. Don't get me wrong. Okay, Checo knows this. He had a contract to race for Racing Point the year it became Aston Martin, and then Lawrence Stroll was like, we want Vettel, bye-bye. So, you know, it's not guaranteed anything, but you would imagine, given where Red Bull are right now, they're not going to give Sergio a 2-year contract unless they plan on seeing it through, I guess. But when I say Red Bull, I mean more specifically this man right here on screen. If you audio only, it's a picture of Checo and Christian Horner. Because it's a very interesting one, this. It's a very interesting choice. And you lot, I mean, we've put the poll out early doors. Over 2,000 votes in the poll, in the live chat. Thank you for voting. All 1,600 of you have here. And obviously some of you came and then buggered off, which is fine. Correct choice, I kind of get it, not sure about it, wrong choice. 4 different choices in the poll. And right now, only 5% of you, 5%, think it's the correct choice. 26%, I kind of get it. I kind of get it. Yeah, I kind of get it. Don't hate it. Don't love it. Kind of get it. 34%. Not so sure about that. Don't really feel it. No, not feel it. And 34% again, wrong choice. L. Clanger, what are you doing, Red Bull? That's what the people think anyway. But of course, we don't run an F1 team. I mean, maybe Christian's in the chat. If you are, then. Look, it does seem to be that there is more to it than just a simple decision on a driver. There seems to be additional context. We kind of not first heard about this. There's obviously been a lot of talk around Red Bull and Christian specifically recently. But with Carlos Sainz negotiating with Red Bull, we know he had talks with Red Bull. We know there seemed to be a sticking factor with their dads, which to me, I don't know. Like, maybe this is just, the way I grew up, like, my parents just kind of left me to do what I wanted to. There was never any resistance, which I'm kind of grateful for. Like they weren't my dad never interfered. My mum's always just been kind of supportive. And like when I hear about these drivers, then you still got your dads like hanging around and like making these decisions. I don't know. I just think I think it's messy. And if that is why, if that is a significant factor as to why Carlos Sainz has not got this seat, because they don't think Carlos Sainz Sr. and Jos Verstappen can get along behind the scenes like they didn't in the Toro Rosso days, bro, come on. Look, I like to think they're fine, Rayner. I like to think they're fine, but there's no smoke without fire, right? And I'm just going based off reports, right? I just think, I mean, Lewis has talked about this. Obviously, his dad, Anthony, was his manager and then he dropped him. And I think I think once you get to that point, you shouldn't have, like, mixing family and business can get really messy. And you can't make those, it's harder to make those objective decisions because there's emotion attached. And it's just like, I don't know. That's just a side thing that I think is not sensible from either side, to be honest. I think from Carlos and Max, I think they should separate that, work but who am I to say? That's just what I would do. And yeah, also obviously the two sides of Red Bull. We know that Christian has the loyalty of the Uvidjas, who own 51% of Red Bull, and then Helmut and Max, and then Oliver Mintzlaff. That's the Austrian side of the business of Red Bull, and it is a 51-49. So what the Uvidjas say goes, essentially. And it feels like there is some kind of, again, we heard with the Carlos Sainz news that where these talks had previously gone through Helmut Marko, instead they were going through Christian Horner. And it's not happened with Carlos, and it has happened with Checo. Checo's been very loyal to Christian specifically. So when all the leaked messages came out earlier this year, Checo was very very supportive of Christian. He knows where he's what's the term? He knows what side his bread is buttered. Is that the saying? I can't even remember. Either way, right? He made his loyalty clear, and whether that was going to be naive here, right? Was that a calculated decision by Checo to be in Christian's corner to try and solidify his future at that team? Because who butters his bread? That's it. Thank you, HKGT. And maybe that's played into this, the loyalty that Checo has shown for Christian, the divide that seems to exist at Red Bull, and the desire for Christian to really establish his authority at this team. Look, Red Bull were never going to come out and say all this stuff, but there's enough media reports from valid, genuine insiders who, indicate that there is a bit of a ongoing tug of war going on, a bit of a civil war there, and maybe this move to secure Checo is part of Christian being like, no, Checo's my guy, he's staying. Liam Lawson, he doesn't want Yuki alongside Max as well. Like, Christian doesn't seem to believe in Yuki. Obviously, Ricciardo, I think Christian values Ricciardo a lot, but values him in that Visa Cash App Racing Bulls team. He brings the branding in, and this is a really interesting one for Daniel. Obviously, if Daniel came out the gates flying this year and absolutely bodied Yuki up until this point, would they be making this decision now to extend Checo? Probably not. The fact that he hasn't, and they can see the value that Daniel's bringing in terms of branding to Racing Bulls, money talks. I think Checo provides a lot of sponsorship to that team, which the Uvidges, the 51% owners who are loyal to Christian, are going to appreciate, because that helps pay for a lot of this team. Big sponsors, Oracle. That title sponsorship is the most expensive. Maybe the HP one's more expensive now with Ferrari. I'm not actually sure. I know it was at the time the most lucrative brand deal an F1 team had, I think, ever signed and got over the line. And obviously Checo brings Claro, Telmex, Telcel, his relationship with Carlos Slim. This is all well established. So he brings that side as well. Brings that commercial side to the team as well. Yeah, look, am I surprised? Am I surprised they extended Checo? I am like objectively as to what I think Red Bull as a racing team should do. However, the internal politics are clearly playing a factor here, because we're already seeing it now. Checo's fifth in the constructors, in the drivers' championship. Sorry. If they want to guarantee constructor championships, Checo is not the guy. The thing is, Red Bull needs to look at the one thing I would say in Checo's favour here is that it didn't work with Gasly. He couldn't drive the car. It didn't work with Albon. He couldn't drive the car. It's not really working with Checo. He can't really drive the car. He can't extract the ceiling of that car's performance. Anywhere, clearly Max can and Checo can't. But if Red Bull are going to swap again, it's not worked with Gasly, who's proven to be a very talented and is now an established F1 driver. Exactly the same goes for Albon. Exactly the same went for Checo. Checo, his 2020 season was unreal. So if they're going to replace Checo, they need to be absolutely sure in their mind that who they're replacing isn't just going to have the exact same issue. And maybe they're not. Maybe they don't have, obviously, got data on Ricciardo, but that would be and maybe they got data on Tsunoda and they think, oh yeah, Yuki probably have the same problems as Pierre and Alex and Checo's had. There's no point changing Checo just to have someone else come in and be 3-4 tenths behind him in qualifying and making these mistakes in a twitchy car. So they need to be sure that whoever they're bringing in can actually do not just as good a job, but a better job. Because otherwise, keep Checo. Keep the money coming in. Keep Checo. Keep that, consistency going. Because he's been at Red Bull for a long time now. A long time indeed. So yeah. One more look at the poll. 2,400 of you have voted now, and the percentages have not changed. 5% correct choice. 26 kind of get it. 35 not sure about it. 34% think it's the wrong choice. Interesting. Well, look, we'll see how it goes this weekend. Hopefully now, what was the thing that, was it Helmut Marko was like, oh, Checo drives well when it's contract renewal time, but now he's got the contract renewal. Will he stink? I hope not. It's like, oh, it's frustrating. And you know what? It's almost kind of a, do you consider it a weakness of Red Bull that they're unable, seemingly, where do you put that responsibility? They're unable to deliver a car that both drivers can equally extract close to the ceiling of the performance. Now, is that a skill issue for Gasly, Albon, Perez? Maybe. But Gasly, Albon, Perez, they're three established F1 drivers who are known entities and a known quality. Whereas McLaren are given a car that Oscar and Lando are going, they're going tit for tat in qualifying right now. Yeah, Lando's got the pace advantage over a race, but Oscar's getting there. And Carlos and Charles, there's a reason the F1 game rated them both 89, sorry. Carlos has not been absolutely steamrolled by Charles Leclerc. Charles has started to show his class now. and it's starting to open up a bit of a gap. But it's still very close. It's still very close. And Jake, maybe Max is just that good. And that's the thing. There's a lot of different ways you can look at it. Is this just a product of any driver you put next to Max, he will make look like a mug? Maybe. Maybe. I rate Max very highly. I think he's the best driver in F1 right now. But do I think... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. Truly not. But there you go. Thank you, Kenny, by the way, for the super chat. Checo can always be kicked to RB Visa Cash App if he really falls off. I understand keeping him because 65% of all Red Bull merch is sold in Mexico. I mean, it's a huge market. I don't know how Checo would take that. I mean, it would certainly confirm that team. Imagine if Red Bull dropped Perez down into RB Visa Cash App, whatever, alongside Ricciardo. That would be like the oldest average age team on the grid. Or up there at least. Probably up there with like Magnussen and Hulkenberg. That would definitely dispel the idea that this is a junior team anymore. Definitely dispel that idea. Because Red Bull don't need the money. But I mean, they've just bought stocks in Leeds United as well, haven't they? So... All right. Any more thoughts? Yeah. So what about Daniel now? Well, yeah, that is an interesting point. That is a very interesting point on Daniel. Now this is confirmed for Checo 2 years, because we know the only reason he went back is because he saw a direction to get back into the Red Bull, and he hasn't taken it. He's not held up his end of the bargain. He's not come in and wiped the floor with Yuki and showed the quality of an 8-time race winner. He's had these moments, these odd moments, Miami Sprint, Mexico last year, Hungary last year, the first race, got the injury. It happens. That can't be helped. But he got the injury, he's come back, and it's just not... I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one for Ricciardo. I don't know how he plays this, to be honest. I don't know how he plays it. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it there, everyone. That's a 48-minute pre-race, which is longer than usual. But thank you all for joining, wherever you are in the world. Hunter, Diogo, Nico, Limitless, Legion, James, Taunton, Zach, Patrick, Zander, Mitzi, Mon, Connor, Ur, Momo, Ontario, Sir Smoke, Max, David, Sam, Liam, Mempra, Caroline, Captain, James, Rayner, SF, Clorox, Leon, Sophia, Will, Josh, Mike, FH4 player, Jerome, Chucky, Dominic, Takoda, Lugi, Callum, The Flying Spy, Anders, Capybaras, Mazzaros, Kira, James, Abby, Abhinav. Thank you all for joining me live here on YouTube. Thank you for watching this after the fact. Thank you for listening through your ears, audio only as well. And enjoy this weekend's Canadian Grand Prix. I think it's going to be a very good one. There might be an upload tomorrow as well. There might be a Tommo upload tomorrow. Maybe. Keep your eyes out. Also, if you want something to watch now, if you're on YouTube, go to the description and watch how I won this trophy. Mine. All mine. On Aldas's YouTube channel. The story of how we won the rookie class, granted, in Buckmore 24. My name's Tommo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Ta-da. Cheerio. Adios.